Hello.
It's not like your friends or anything.
No.
I clammed up.
And
This is where we just get some intro music for the next time around to have a little something going in the
Yeah.
background.
we have a little production. I'm getting really good on the streaming side of things in our little home office with the background music, using OBS, all that good stuff.
Dang. Producer credits.
Oh, that's fun.
Nice.
MP Baz, welcome.
Hey, what's up,
Just-
Maria?
I recognize that name.
Yeah.
We are just hanging out here, letting the chat build for a bit before we get dropped into our conversation for the day.
I would love to include my Instagram in this, but I'm not allowed to go live because I talked about regular things on the internet. And they were like, you can't do it! And I'm like, oh. So, there it is.
Zavi, welcome.
Noah's been a
Good to
bad
see you,
boy.
man.
I was a bad boy.
Hollywood
Seemed regular.
66, welcome. So we're just gonna wait. We're just gonna come over here so people can hear me. We're just gonna wait a little bit until the chat gets a little filled out, and then we'll probably kick things off. If anyone has any questions, feel free to sound off in the chat, and I will be sleuthing through the best ones, and I'll present them to Noah and Rachel. So, yeah, feel free to ask questions, guys.
Yep, but as promised, we're going to talk about the walk and socialization because we decided that's some of the most important things and also some of the things that we know the most about and have the most experience with. And in our minds, if someone knows a lot about something, it's worth listening to, but on the internet, it's not always the case. The loudest often wins. But hey, it's all right. We don't want to fight for it. Just share it.
Definitely. And if there's two people that know a lot about walks and socializing, I gotta say, it's probably us. We've done quite a bit of that over the years, seen what works, seen what doesn't work, to the point now where we can know pretty instantly how well a dog's gonna work in our pack even before the leash goes on. Like, we have gathered lots of different information about dogs and dog behavior. It's not just a random process, but we are trying a little bit more to share with you like our actual process, something we've done by feel for years, making it more palatable for people who have a beginner's mindset as well.
Yeah, and for me, I slowly have tried to get away from outlier behavior dogs, but I can't seem to do it. I do enjoy the process of taking a dog from maniac to tolerable and hopefully back to good again. There's just so many of them out there. It's hard for me to get away from. But yeah, in an ideal world, it'd be cool to have just a whole bunch of perfect dogs. But I do like working a dog through that process. Maybe it's egotistical, maybe a little, but it's fun to do. Fun to take them from wild man to best friend.
Totally. And I will say, I'm actually on the opposite end of the spectrum of I just like helping really simple cases at this point, which feels like a bit of a surrender piece at this point, like knowing better. And my choice is actually to not take on those types of cases because I'm a sensitive gal and it takes up a lot of space for me. And so to be able to do all the things that I want to do, to have a good pack walk and also have capacity to do training, I like a simple case. Keep it simple, baby. And then the complex ones, I send to this beautiful man.
Yeah, no, I do like the simple stuff also, but my origin in all of this was only working with the worst of the worst. And I feel like in not just dogs, but in life generally, that if you can do something, then you ought. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I can, and I do, and it's fun for me. And it's nice to see a dog go from maniac to fun. But in the end, I have found way more people just struggle with the regular things, the basic things. I mean, leash walking and socialization, hence what we're talking about today. And so, yeah, we'll see how many people trickle in, but at a certain point, we'll just get going with all this.
Definitely. And I think something that I just want to say too is like, I think part of what you bring to the conversation that's really helpful is like, you get excited to help a dog like that. It fuels you, but you're not like anxious, stressed, worried, in resistance to what you can or can't do. And so like that energy brings in change in such a different way. It influences energy in a much different way versus someone who's like, I gotta fix this dog. I gotta help this person. I'm the one. It must be me. If I'm not, it means something. And that really messes people up in their training very quickly.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I hadn't quite thought about it like that, because and I talk about this with new people all the time, that it's hard to just summon confidence. That confidence while working with the dog comes from, I have the tools to do what it takes to help this dog, and you can't just flip a switch like that. And so for me, getting a crazy dog, like sometimes I feel almost like a serial killer sometimes because I never react to anything. Like the crazier the dog, I'm like, perfect. This is exactly what I'm going for. And yeah, a dog can change really quickly with someone who knows what they're doing and doesn't react strongly to things. Yeah, pretty excited about that.
And if by being a crazy person you mean you have put in deep personal work to work with your own energy, work through tough things, built resilience. Yeah, it's a little crazy, but to be honest, it is a little crazy in this day and age for someone to be really accountable for their own energy, have the awareness of what they're bringing in, and shaping what they do around that.
Yeah. Being stable in the face of instability is a very useful tool, especially in this modern world where there's a lot of weird and crazy out there. And I don't know if it's from doing the work or being just feeling like just growing accustomed to a chaotic environment. But yeah, I'm good at it. And since I can, then I do.
Yeah. And just to cap that off, I think there is a level that like so many people go into working with dogs because they want to work on that stuff and then they just stop and they actually get stuck kind of working through the same stuff over and over again, missing the entire reason why the dogs brought them into this space in the first place.
Yeah, that's valid. How many people we got in there, fella?
We got 3.
Let's go, baby. Let's get it cracking.
All right. Well, since we had mentioned the walk first, we'll just start there. So Rachel and Andrew and myself, we started doing dog walks right around the same time. It was 12-ish sort of years ago. And at the time, it's not like we were new in all of dog things. Like people have been doing that for a while, but it felt like a whole new generation of up and coming pack walk stuff. And we really felt like we were leading and pioneering a thing. And from within a year or two of that, we were joining on each other's pack walks, driving to and from San Diego, Pasadena to meet up and support each other for that stuff. But it was also nice to know that someone else was doing the really out there stuff that you were doing. And now a decade plus years later, neither of us have ever stopped doing that. And so to put in that much time and that much work on, honestly, dogs are pretty simple creatures despite how they may ever seem. To put in that much work over that much time, got really, really good at it and it feels nice.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. And it's like having handled so many dogs through dog walking is a huge asset that like so many trainers skip over where they just want to go straight to the training. But the fact of the matter is it's the consistency of handling lots of different dogs over and over again over different time, like different temperaments, different feelings, different families, environments. Like it's really hard to not get good and start gathering information unless you're completely not paying attention.
Yeah.
Which is possible.
For sure.
We've seen it.
For sure. So I'm going to jump in with something about the walk that just stands out to me. And it's something I talked about the last couple of days because that's how these little talks are going to go. We're going to mention little things about it and dive into greater detail here. But that for me, it's not like the walk is the only thing, best thing, or the only way to get what I'm about to say. But if we see our dog's issues as this whole entire puzzle that's really hard to put together, it can feel a little overwhelming. But if we just start from the walk and build a really pleasant, gentle, kind, connected, reasonable walk, more things build out from that than people really think. Yeah. And that if the walk is a huge pain in the ass, like we're frustrated with the dog, kind of resent it a little bit, we go only early in the morning or super late at night, and like we don't get to participate in dog culture. And as soon as it's good, so many more things open up, and learning how to oversee our dog's growth and how to take control of things and how to be mindful in that whole experience is way more powerful than a lot of people think. So many things build out from just the walk.
Definitely. And it's like, if you can get to a place where your dog can move with sensitivity through the world with you, it actually doesn't matter how social or not social they are. It doesn't matter, like,
you could only take dogs to the place that was that the least capable dog could thrive. And that's something to keep in mind, that as much as we arbitrarily want our dogs to be able to do this, that, or the other thing, we have to take into account where they're actually at. And if you continuously take your dog to a spot that is too difficult and overwhelming, there's something to keep in mind if you have a dog that has challenges on leash, that sometimes the best they can do is walk around in a parking structure. I had that the other day with a young puppy, that the real world, it was too much for the dog. And so we took him into a shaded, confined area, and all of a sudden the dog was like, okay, this I can do. And so I'm like, all right, well then that's where we're at. Today we start within a parking structure, and then as soon as they get comfortable there, we can work on to move on to more difficult things. But that's something to keep in mind, whether you're a pack walker or a person with just one dog. Start where it's easiest and build out from there.
Sure. And it's like, if you're unsure, just take it down a notch. That unsureness is usually a little flag that's coming up that's like, hey, this might not be that great for you. And I think about like, imagine I was like, hey, come swimming with me, Noah, but I don't know how to swim, but we'll just figure it out once we get in the water. And you'd be like, it is terrifying going to the ocean with you because I don't know what's going to happen. And it's, of course, like well-meaning. I just want Noah to experience the ocean with me. But like, if I don't show him any sort of way how to be with the environment that we're in, that's not going to make him want to come to the ocean with me or anywhere else for that matter.
By the third time, I don't want to go anymore. And I'm not too sure about her as a person anymore. That is genuinely how the dogs see it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. And yeah, having a nice walk. Some people, walks are so challenging, they almost don't believe that it can happen. Now, that is one thing I like about taking on challenging dogs, is that for most people, they need to see the thing happen to believe it. Because although it's a little short-sighted, people do the, I've tried everything and nothing works. Like, well, keep in mind, there are people who do this for a living. You might not know as much as you think you do. But as soon as they see their dog do a thing that they thought they couldn't do, sure, they feel like, oh, well, this person can do it. But we don't have skills that aren't available to other people. We're like raised in a pack of wolves and have a thing that's unique. I didn't know anything when I first started doing all this. Nothing. Yeah. No, it's just
I worked in
time.
a warehouse with a bunch of dogs in it, and it was an absolute nightmare, and I learned very quickly. But I didn't come in with a bunch of skills ready to go.
Yeah, that's probably worth discussing, too. That for my origin story with dogs, I didn't know anything and was immediately thrust into an environment that had between 10 and 50 and sometimes more dogs in the house all of the time. And so in that way, I could admit that's not a skill or not a thing that many people have had experience, but that just meant that the learning process was accelerated, that I got to understand things faster than maybe some other people would. But for someone working with just one dog, they only have to worry about what's going on with that dog. I got to learn about dogs as a whole entire thing, and sometimes the craziest ones ever, and constantly put myself in situations that were irresponsible, and mistakes were made, and you learn a lot from that, and they were not my finest or proudest moments, but don't underestimate how much good comes from the mistakes and the challenges and the frustrations, because like, same with learning lessons in life, like, you don't really remember the times when everything was super sweet. You remember when something really sucked a lot and you decided to change because of it. And that happens a lot with the dogs too.
Definitely. I had a dog who, bless their owner if you're watching, I have a feeling you're not, but I had a dog that I walked for 7 years and then I kicked him out. And look, like, here's things that I learned from that. One, I never walked him outside of the pack, and I thought the pack was just going to fix that and that I was going to influence his behavior just through consistency alone by doing the same things over and over that were not working. And this was the one dog that I like couldn't fix. I also didn't ever give him the one-on-one attention that he really needed. All that being said, that was the one dog out of like 10,000 that I've walked that I was like, I just genuinely could not get the leash skills any better that they were in the setup that I had. I've had lots of dogs that just weren't safe to be in my pack, but that dog really taught me a lot about like how much dogs need one-on-one attention and presence. Sometimes a pack is just not the way. If you need 100% of my presence and I have 10 leashes in my hand, you're only getting 10%. You needed 100%. So yeah, there's no way I'm going to like move the needle when you needed all of me and I just give you a little bit, even when all of the other dogs are passive. I've tried it. It doesn't work. It's just not the way.
No, it's a great point. So for people that are pack walkers or people that put their dog in packs, almost always it helps the dog. For some dogs, they just don't like it. They don't like it, or it's beyond their understanding of things. And just like Rachel said, like I felt like any dog I put in a pack, they're going to get better, and everything's going to get better, and they're going to be, I wouldn't say perfect, but they're going to be great at some point. And yeah, and occasionally a dog a few months in, no improvements, not getting better, overwhelmed by it, and yeah, for whatever reason, it took me a few years to realize, oh, maybe I should just spend some one-on-one time with this dog and make sure that's rock solid before I put them in an environment that's just, it's really difficult. And a lot of dogs acclimate and acquiesce to it and they figure it out, but for some dogs, it's not the thing for them. And the similar thing when we get to socialization, and we'll talk about that too, but yeah, it's not the perfect environment for every dog. It's always worth a shot, because some dogs will surprise you.
Yeah, definitely. My picker is really good at this point, but I still have moments where I remove my expectations because I know if I'm not projecting who's going to get along, who's not going to get along, some like actual authentic magic can start to happen. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, the dog pack, like I want to talk about the walk, some common things that people still to this day don't take into account when they're taking their dog for a walk, now away from the pack walk things, but still I got a bunch of my clients doing the who wants to go for a walk thing, getting the dog super amped up before we walk out the door. And it feels almost elementary and redundant to bring this up because in dog culture it's so obvious, but for those of you that are watching that might be new to all this, if we're getting our dogs hyped up to get out the door and demand that they be relaxed, like I can't not mention it, that it's just from our standpoint, people who work with dogs, like it is so beyond foolish to do that. And when you build a bad habit, it's so much harder to undo a bad habit than it is to teach good behavior from the jump. And I can't talk about the walk without bringing that up, even though it does feel like very obvious stuff.
Are you saying, just real quick, I'm sure they can all hear me, like hyping them up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I didn't say it because I didn't want to get this dog up, but we do the, let's go for a walk. Usually, like, if you pick up your leash and your dog is spinning in circles and freaking the fuck out, and the first thing we do is, now settle down, knock it off, go out there, be calm. Like, but remember a second ago when you were like, let's party? Like, yeah, and that's another thing about when you work with dogs. When I watch people interact with their dogs and they're not getting the result that they want, if you think of working with your dog as a language, I would say we're fluent in it. And when I watch people interact with their dogs, the disconnect in what people think they're doing versus what they're really doing is so vast. Honestly, it can be a little hard to watch sometimes because people get really upset with the dog when 99 times out of 100 we're not conveying what we think we are. And if you can find somebody that understands dog behavior, like they're overjoyed to share this information with you. Anyone who's willing, I'm like, you want to listen? I'll tell you everything. Yeah.
And like on the opposite swing of the pendulum on that one, there's the people who think their dog should be like dead in calmness before they leave the door. I'm going to sit here for 45 minutes till my dog lays down on their side because that's what a dog would do before they were about to go walk. And so it's like finding the discernment between we're not raging and going to the club. I also don't need you to be like comatose because that is not natural. It's like just being more, I don't want to say neutral because I don't love that word.
Neutral positive?
But being more honest about what we're about to go do together. I don't need you dead because I need you activated. We're going to go move. I also don't want you to be a psycho because I'd like you to be still with me when we go somewhere.
Yeah, I use the phrase neutral positive a lot because I don't want them to freak out, but I do want them to have a good time. And there
absolutely.
Is space in between that. And so when we say don't do this or don't do this, like for an example, when I grab the leashes for my dog, they come over to me, pleased and happy, and they sit down and they look up at me and they're like, let's go do the thing. I'm like, yeah. Beautiful. And they sit there and I put the leash on and they're like, yeah. And they put it on and we go out for a walk. And like, if they get a little amped up, we may wait at the gate before we go out into the world. But yeah, I don't need them at a 0. I just can't have them at a 7 or even a 6. I'm like, just be pleasant and let's go. But yeah, I don't need them to be like,
overly docile. And I don't think that's necessarily a good or a bad thing, but it's certainly not always a good thing for your dog to be so tired before they've even left for the walk, you know?
Yeah. And then something else that I've been working on with some dogs that I have now that I see a lot that people deal with is pace of walk. That I've seen people go so far as to say the only reasonable thing to do on a walk is move real fast so your dog can always kind of stay with you. And I'm like, well, the way I see it, if your dog is coercing you with their craziness to walk faster on the walk, even if you're kind of ahead of them a little bit, they're still kind of dictating the pace of the walk. And so for my dogs that want to do that, I actually walk pretty damn slow. And I'm sure there are other ways, and I'm not saying that's like the black and white only way to do things, but I want my young dogs to learn how to slow their body and mind down. I want my older dogs to do that because that's kind of just how they are. And not every walk has to be that way, but these are just skills that I want my dog to know how to do. And that's another important thing to keep in mind on the walk. Like to walk next to us, to walk with respect. Yes, that's kind of an ideal walk, but there's different kinds of walks that you can do. And the walk where they're allowed to sniff everything or walk up ahead, if they're not acting like maniacs, then they kind of get to do more things. That's something to really keep in mind. To have this locked-in dog at your side all the time, like, I mean, if there's a place for it.
Purpose?
Yeah, if your dog's crazy and that helps, then great.
Sure.
But when a dog is just good mostly, people don't realize that this rigidity that we often talk about, because so many dogs need it, all that opens up when your dog is respectful and thoughtful and considerate.
Yes. Like, if you're not having a problem, then you focusing on these like positions and all these things, it's to what end?
Yeah.
Like, to what is that serving? Again, not saying that if you're in a high distraction area and you got to come close and you want your dog closer so you can influence their behavior better, yeah, that's like a moment by moment decision. But you arbitrarily deciding how they should feel, experience, move at every moment of the walk, and then you creating this very rigid method of them complying into that doesn't build connection at all.
Yeah. All right. So, and on that note, the amount of tension that sometimes people create by trying to force their dog to do this thing that they haven't figured out yet can create a lot of frustration for some dogs. And so if you guys check on my stories today, me and 4 little dogs walked by a dog that was just losing its mind behind a fence. And now if I were to have put tension on all of those leashes and been concerned myself, through my behavior and my action, my dogs would for sure have freaked out. The dogs that were with me would have. But if you watch that video, brief as it may be, you will see no tension in any of the leashes, 0 reaction from me. And while there's only like a 15-20 second clip, we stayed out in front of that house. I cleared a little bit of space so we could be in the shade. We stayed out in front of that house until that dog settled its ass down. And if you have the time and are willing to put that in on a given walk, that's how you can actually train dogs behind a fence, by waiting out their foolishness, your dog's silliness, wait until everyone's calm, and then mosey on by. You do that 10 times with a dog, they'll be like, oh, that's the dog that I'm calm about. Crazy.
I have a similar but different method of anytime a dog is reactive towards me behind a fence, I always say no 1 time, because sometimes it just works. I'm just layering in. I disagree with that behavior because my dogs also feel it. And I'm not saying no because I'm trying to control you. I just know that sometimes it does influence you. It's not going to hurt to say no 1 time with strong energy. And sometimes that dog goes away. And also my dog's here. That is not for us. We don't want any part of that.
Yeah, and I like that too. And something to keep in mind for any of you people where you end up in that position, if your dogs are freaking out or you can't quite get control of them, if you put yourself in between the dog behind the fence and your dogs, great start, and that can sometimes stop it on its own. But if you then walk into the space of your dogs and they retreat a little bit, that's also a way to get control over your dogs. Like a dog for whom you step into their space and cause them to retreat instead of moving forward feels very differently about what's on the other side of you. It's a very useful tool.
Definitely. And for those of you who are just struggling with getting control at all, just get the heck out of there. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah. You got nothing to prove
there's
by
nothing
doing the
wrong with
things that I just
moving
said
right
I do.
along.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Keeper Kennel Club said that works on his neighbor dog every time. Telling him
That's
no.
Dylan.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Does that dog know him, though? Does that dog know him or no?
Her, yeah.
Or her?
I mean, yes. But Dylan's been like working with her neighbor dog
Yeah.
and just like sprinkling that in of like, the only thing separating us is the fence.
Yeah.
We're actually kind of still in a pack setting
Yeah.
because dogs are here and dogs are here.
Yeah.
And so, there's a bit of like relationship
For
there.
sure. Because I like that as an idea, but I have found if I try to be firm with a dog that doesn't know me, what I see more is they elevate that and they're like, how about fuck you? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's valid. You don't know me and I did tell you what to do. So fuck me, I
like-
guess.
And we have this barrier.
Yeah, I'm not gonna just go push some dude in the bar because I didn't like it. I might gauge and see if I think I could take him first.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna invite in a challenge when I don't want one.
Yeah, and something that I saw Rachel post about today, that for you people that walk packs of dogs, something to keep in mind. It might be kind of obvious, but a best practice to keep in mind is to only bring in one rascally dog at a time. And that's how I did it for over a decade, that as soon as the pack is cohesive in one thing, you can bring in a new dog. Personally, I have that dog ride in the passenger seat the whole first day, and I spend some time working them alone. It seems that Rachel does the exact same thing. But yeah, once you add a second dog, I found it's about a 8 or 9 to 1, that as long as you have 8 or 9 good dogs, that bringing in one new one at a time will influence the new dog to act better.
Yep.
But if you go like 8 or 9 to 2 or to 3, those 3 mess up the good ones. And it takes, it's almost like a 10 to 1 shot to have good outweigh the bad, because it's so easy for a dog to be rascally, and it takes so much discipline, time, and effort for them to learn how to be good, that it's way more easy for a dog to be influenced to be a knucklehead than it is for a dog to be influenced to the positive, which is the same for buy a new dog to fix this dog. Stop doing it. It's enough.
It doesn't work. And yeah, like on that same note, even dogs from the same household, especially dogs from the same household, I'm going to start you different because I want to know who you are without each other. You guys are already influencing each other's behavior in a certain way. You have
like
certain
this.
patterns and stuff. And so like, I want to see who you are without your safety blanket or without your backup crew, you know, like who are you just on your own? And it was so interesting because I brought 2 Goldens in, and yesterday I brought in the older one, and she was like super confident, just doing her thing. The younger one, without her, more bold with her, was just like very submissive on the drive over, and was just like kind of stoic in my front seat, and was like, all right, lady, are you crazy? I don't know. And so I just let him know I'm good. And then once we did our back thing and it was more clear and he was with them, then he was fine. But it was just so funny seeing such a different side of him come out specifically because she was not there.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up because I don't want to digress into talking about bonded pairs, but it's something that I hear a lot, that 2 dogs that somehow can't exist without each other from like a psychological standpoint. To me, that's just like insane.
Yeah,
that would be somehow that's good. Like I call it the dog equivalent of separation anxiety. That like you tell, and because people say it in a cutesy way, and that, oh, this dog has to be with this other dog, and because I see things more for the overall psychological health of a dog, well, the first thing I would do is take those dogs away from each other because I gotta get to know what this dog is on their own and work through that, and whether it's on a leash or otherwise, that made me think of that even on a walk, to have 2 dogs from the same home do some things separately so you can figure out what are the individual needs of this dog. Sure. Super useful, super important.
Yeah, and I think it speaks a lot to like how people look at love and relationships, and it's like, I want someone who's crazy about me, but they're not like, I want someone who's stable and reliable, and they're consistently, they're like, I want the twin flame energy. I don't want to live if you're not here.
I want them to threaten to kill me if we split up.
We went too far. And you took that fantasy from your relationships, and now you've glorified it in your dogs because they're cuter when they do it.
No, that's valid. Yeah, that we prioritize like constant engagement rather than contentment and over-the-top excitement with love, and so much so. And this is digressing a little bit from the walk thing, but again, worth mentioning that when I help people work away from separation anxiety and codependency, that they'll send me a picture of their dog sitting on their dog bed and say, look how sad they are. And I'm like, you paid me for this. You paid me to get them to learn how to do this, and then you sent me a picture saying how sad they are. This was our goal.
It's also like, what is your marker for sad and what is your marker for tired? And can you explain to me how those 2 look different? Then we can go from there.
Yeah. Wild.
Or content.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Chilling,
or
relaxing.
just feeling nothing.
Yeah, not in constant need. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So to bring it back to the walk, like the needs of every individual dog are their own individual puzzle pieces that it's, as the owner of a dog, it's your responsibility to figure out what they need, and it might be drastically different from what another dog needs, maybe even what another dog in your household needs. But the cool part of owning a dog is figuring out what they are and what they need, because we can't just make any dog whatever we want them to be. They come as a thing. Just as kids, they're already a thing. We want to reveal them. We want to figure out who they are, cater to their skills, bolster their deficiencies, and same as kids, same as dogs.
Yeah. If you're interested and you're watching this live right now, drop us a comment. When I post this up into our main feed, I have a free worksheet you can do. It's called Getting to Know My Dog. It's just basically about looking at the exact dog you have. What do they like? What do they not like? Just investigating them, and then also looking at you. How do I feel about learning? How do I feel about being in a relationship? Why this dog might be a good fit for me? Why they're not a good fit? This is a freebie. This is a super easy writing activity that you could do individually with any dog you have or any dog you're working with, just to start looking at like who the dog is, who you are, separating between the 2, and then building a training plan from there.
Yeah. One of the first things that people that are, what does that mean? I don't remember.
30-minute mark.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, then forget what I'm about to say. Let's.
No. Go.
I don't even remember what it was. No, we want to make sure that we touch on socialization, as we digress a little bit on the walk. But like, the walk is important, but all of these things that we're going to talk about, they're all interrelated. So it's not for nothing. It's not full ADD separation. Like, all of these things overlap. The walk is super important. But why we want to talk about the walk and socialization is because those are just such commonplace things for the human and dog experience that we just felt it would be helpful to dive a little bit deeper to better explain what that all means. Because if we see socialization as just learning how to be neutral around dogs, or just going to the dog park. Those are kind of two pretty broad or varying ends of the socialization spectrum. And what Rachel and Andrew have been doing by coming over here more recently, and then what I do every day, is that I have dogs that interact with each other off leash every single day. And they're all trustworthy, and if they're not, then we go move real slow. And I would only bring in, same thing, one at a time. I can't just throw maniacs in my backyard. If they have to wear a muzzle, they'll do that. If they need to be on a leash, they'll do that. I bring out dogs in the order that is most appropriate for what they need. But I'm not the only person doing this. Like, there are people that have socials with things in a structured way with trustworthy people and dogs around. And if you can find something like that, it's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to kind of like piggyback on that, so like there's some people that do it well, and then there's also people who are literally creating a crappy dog park at their house with the same lack of awareness, and they're like, send your dog, pay to do this, and then the dog's still getting in fights, getting attacked, the person doesn't know what they're doing, the dog never learns any chill, but they're like, yeah, but I pick these dogs.
Like, I don't know what's that got to do with anything.
It's like, look, it's not the dog park that's the problem, it's the awareness. Like, Noah understands every single dog that's in his pack. When he's bringing new dogs in, he's using the dogs that he knows based on how they're socializing with the new dog. It's not that he
like
needs
a medicine.
it's not like he needs them to play together, but like, even when they're disagreeing, they're telling him so much more about this dog than we as humans can just evoke on our own. We're using the pack to get the best, most accurate information about who the dog is and how they feel about things.
Yeah, and when I bring a client over, and now one of these dogs, their owner is here with me. For starters, that can add way more tension. But I've noticed that people are uncomfortable around dogs that they don't know, or the opposite, that they still feel the need to touch all the dogs. And that, like, it's rule number one. When we walk in here, it's not about you guys touching any of these dogs. And honestly, if you do, even dogs that I trust, can cause a fight, can cause a problem, can cause them to get clobbered, jumped all over. Like, nope, you come in, you ignore the dogs, we're back to no touch, no talk, no eye contact. Sometimes we walk in circles just to keep the energy moving in the yard. And like, socialization is so much more than playing. And again, sometimes I feel kind of foolish and redundant saying these things, because like, to us it's commonplace. Like, I get it.
Noah, I grew up with dogs, and dogs love me.
Okay,
Why
well,
can't